This is the kind of news no Deion Sanders fan ever wanted to hear. After months of hype, excitement, and relentless national attention on the Colorado Buffaloes, things have suddenly taken a tough, emotional turn. And now, Coach Prime himself has stepped forward with a message that has left fans across the country completely stunned. From alarming health setbacks to internal strife within the team, these latest updates could drastically alter expectations for the upcoming season. Stay tuned, because what we've uncovered goes far beyond football. If you've been following the meteoric rise of the Colorado Buffaloes under Coach Deion Prime Sanders, then you already understand this was never just about wins and losses. This became a movement, a cultural phenomenon, a bold project that reignited energy, captured media attention, and brought sold-out crowds back to Boulder. But now, that inspiring narrative has taken a heartbreaking twist. In today's video, we're going over updates that have left Deion Sanders supporters both shocked and deeply concerned. From new information about his health that could impact his coaching career, to behind-the-scenes locker room issues, and even whispers of players considering walking away, we're diving into every detail. And this isn't just speculation. These are verified reports, insider sources, and direct statements from Coach Prime himself, words that left fans speechless during a live broadcast. You'll hear what the mainstream media hasn't covered, and more importantly, why these events might drastically reshape Coach Prime's future and his legacy at Colorado. Make sure you stick with us through the end, because we're going to reveal a powerful moment from Deion's latest interview that left even his most loyal fans in disbelief. Believe me, this is when things start to get real. Let's begin with what has fans the most concerned: Coach Deion Sanders' health. While this isn't the first time we've heard about serious medical challenges, these latest revelations have fans genuinely wondering how much longer he can continue pushing through. By now, most people are aware that Coach Prime has been dealing with severe circulation issues and foot complications over the past few years. It all began back in 2021 while he was still coaching at Jackson State. What initially appeared to be a minor foot issue rapidly escalated into a full-blown health emergency. Sanders had to go through multiple surgeries, lost 2 toes to amputation, and spent weeks in the hospital battling blood clots and poor circulation in his left leg. Fast forward to his time at Colorado, and things haven't improved the way many fans had hoped. In a recent press conference that quickly made national news, Coach Prime admitted that he's still battling circulation problems that could be life-threatening. And this time, he made the revelation while the cameras were rolling. Deion disclosed that his doctors have even mentioned the possibility of another amputation. Yes, it's gotten that serious. But his response? "I'm not letting them take my leg. I've still got work to do." Let those words sink in. While leading one of the most high-profile teams in college football, recruiting top-tier athletes, and facing constant national pressure, this man is also fighting every day to save his leg and possibly his life away from the field.
And now, the pressure is clearly starting to take its toll. Fans and sports analysts alike have noticed that Coach Prime has been doing more interviews seated, frequently with his foot elevated. During games, he's often seen riding along the sidelines on a custom electric scooter or a golf cart. At one particular practice, even some of the players pointed out that he was barely placing any weight on his left foot, but this is where things start to get even more concerning. Sources close to the program, people working inside the athletic department, have quietly shared that Deion missed several key team meetings and practices earlier this spring, while the official explanation given was that it was for personal recovery. Internally, the worry is growing. If his condition continues to worsen, could it push him to step back or even walk away for good? And it's not just his foot that's raising red flags. Circulation problems like these often indicate more serious underlying vascular issues. If left untreated, those complications can escalate into organ failure, strokes, or worse. To be absolutely clear, Deion Sanders has not made any public comments suggesting he plans to step down or leave the Buffaloes. In fact, he still talks with the same fire and drive fans have always admired. But underneath that bravado, there's a noticeable tension, and supporters are starting to feel it. Behind the scenes within the Colorado Buffaloes football program, things aren't quite as seamless as they may seem. While Deion Sanders has undeniably brought in a wave of media attention, massive hype, and record-breaking audiences, it's also becoming more evident that not everyone under his leadership is thriving. And now that questions around his health are mounting, the cracks beneath the surface are starting to show. Let's rewind to how last season ended. After starting the 2023 campaign on fire, Colorado collapsed, dropping 8 of their final 9 matchups. What once looked like a Cinderella story quickly spiraled into a reality check. Team morale sank, frustration set in, and the overall energy in the locker room took a sharp turn. But it wasn't just about the losses, it was the way Coach Prime was running the team that started raising eyebrows. From the moment he arrived, Deion made waves by telling players, "I'm bringing my own luggage and it's Louis." That now iconic quote made one thing crystal clear: many of the current athletes would be either riding the bench or completely replaced by incoming transfers. Within just a few short months, more than 50 players had entered the transfer portal, marking one of the most dramatic roster shakeups the NCAA has ever seen. At first, the move was seen as bold but strategic. Now, however, some of those very decisions seem to be having unintended consequences. Reports from outlets like ESPN and On3 reveal that a second wave of players has either quietly left or is strongly considering their options following spring 2024 practices. What's more, a few of these athletes were handpicked by Sanders himself. Several unnamed players have reportedly expressed frustration over a number of issues: turnover within the coaching staff, with assistants either resigning or being reassigned in the middle of the season; a lack of transparent communication from leadership, especially regarding starting roles and bench decisions; and a growing discomfort over Deion's health and whether he'll continue to be a steady, reliable force at the head of the program. And this next part is becoming harder to ignore. A number of players have expressed that they no longer feel in sync with the coaching vision. One athlete who entered the transfer portal in May was quoted as saying, "It's hard to give 100% to a team when you don't even know if your coach will still be on the sidelines next month." That kind of emotional disconnect is dangerous not just for the locker room dynamic, but for recruiting as well. Already, some highly ranked recruits have started to either decommit or quietly redirect their attention to other programs. This doesn't necessarily mean the Buffaloes are collapsing, but it definitely signals that instability is brewing. Now, parents and high school coaches are beginning to ask some tough questions. Will my player thrive here? Is the leadership going to be consistent? What does this program look like in 2 or 3 years? And let's be real, college football is also a business. These student athletes are thinking about exposure, the path to the NFL, and being draft ready. If they detect even a small sign that the momentum is fading, they'll leave no hesitation. Insiders are even suggesting that Shedeur Sanders, Deion's son and the Buffaloes' starting quarterback, has shown signs of frustration behind closed doors. While his loyalty to his father is unquestioned, sources indicate he's starting to feel worn out from the nonstop noise and the pressure of representing a program that's always under the spotlight. The moment Deion arrived in Boulder, the media circus came with him. Every practice became a breaking story. Every press conference after a game was blasted across the sports networks. ESPN, Fox Sports, Bleacher Report, they all fed into the Coach Prime narrative. And for a while, that attention gave Colorado a serious advantage. But now the tide is starting to turn. In the beginning, Prime was praised as a trailblazer, someone shaking up the stiff traditions of college football. He wasn't just building a football team, he was creating a brand. But the very branding strategy that catapulted the Buffaloes to national fame is now drawing heavy criticism. Let's break that down. After that headline-making 3-0 start last season, many believed Colorado was destined for a bowl game or, at the very least, a strong showing in the Pac-12. But then came the collapse: 8 losses in their last 9 games, ending the season 1-8 down the stretch. The same media outlets that once celebrated Deion quickly flipped the narrative. Analysts started digging deeper. Was this all just flash? Did Deion build something lasting or just something viral? Can style, interviews, and social media presence make up for poor performance between the lines? Skip Bayless went as far as calling it the most dramatic fall from grace in the history of college football hype. Paul Feinbaum didn't hold back either, saying, "This isn't coaching, it's marketing." And Colin Cowherd raised the question of whether Deion's health problems and constant media obligations were taking his focus off actually leading the team. And that's not even counting the criticism from football purists. Even some respected legends of the game have started to speak out, Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe, who has publicly backed Deion, subtly hinted at concerns during an episode of Club Shay Shay, saying, "I love Prime, but sometimes you gotta ask, is this about the kids or the clicks?" That one line said. Social media on fire. Thousands of fans echoed the thought, saying Colorado football has started to resemble a reality show more than a focused, disciplined college program, and here's where things get even more troubling. Some in the media are now speculating that what they're calling the Prime Bubble might be on the verge of popping. In media circles, the Prime Bubble refers to the idea that Deion Sanders' rise was fueled by viral content, influencer energy, and constant attention, but lacked the football backbone to support it all long term. They're pointing to some major warning signs: a jaw-dropping turnover of nearly 80 players in less than 2 years, no bowl appearances to speak of, a growing list of recruits pulling out, and an endless strip of behind-the-scenes leaks. Add on Deion's divided attention balancing health battles, team responsibilities, and external business commitments, and the situation begins to shift in tone. Now, with ESPN insiders reporting that network execs are rethinking whether to keep Colorado in those high-visibility primetime slots, the message is getting clearer. The media spotlight may be starting to dim. Why? Because no matter how strong the hype or how high the TV ratings climb, they can't hold up a football program forever. Eventually, wins have to come. Championships need to be chased. Recruits must commit and stay committed. And here's the twist: the pressure isn't only coming from outside sources. Inside the university, key stakeholders are beginning to feel the weight as well. According to a report from The Athletic, some Colorado boosters are starting to feel increasingly uneasy. They've invested heavily, not just in dollars, but in reputation into Coach Prime. Yet after just one season, the returns haven't quite lived up to expectations. With criticism growing, media narrative shifting, and internal leadership beginning to ask tough questions, the big concern is becoming obvious. Will Coach Prime be granted the time and medical support to turn things around, or will this all be chalked up as another flashy experiment that didn't pan out? While fans and commentators are openly debating Deion Sanders' future, and Sanchez's future, a much quieter, more calculated discussion is happening behind closed doors. And it goes far beyond football. It's about Colorado's brand, financial standing, and the fate of a program that's been completely reshaped. Sources close to the athletic department and members of the university's Board of Regents say a line has been drawn. A private tip shared with The Athletic and echoed by well-connected insiders on fan forums claims that university leadership has voiced increasing concern about the current direction under Deion's leadership. And yes, a closed-door meeting has reportedly taken place between Coach Prime and senior administrators, covering everything from expectations and timelines to measurable outcomes. Now, this isn't some dramatic ultimatum designed to grab headlines. It's not a win or you're out type of message. Not yet, anyway. But what's on the table might be even more calculated: produce concrete results, or expect a rollback in financial and institutional support. In plain terms, that means donor funding, which once flowed in freely, could begin to slow down. If by the end of the 2025 season, the team doesn't show real signs of competitive growth, the university may start reconsidering its media strategy. That could include stepping away from the Deion Center narrative and refocusing on a more traditional, team-first branding approach. Some members of the board have reportedly even discussed early-stage succession planning. If Deion were to step down, whether because of performance concerns or medical issues, conversations about what comes next are already in motion. And this isn't just baseless speculation. Multiple regents have reportedly raised red flags during official meetings about what they describe as the cult of personality forming around Coach Prime. While no one's denying the ticket sales, national attention, or merch success Deion has brought to Boulder, the pressing question now is this: can it last, or is it just a viral moment destined to fade with lasting consequences? That's what makes the year 2025 so pivotal, not just for Deion Sanders, but for the entire Buffaloes program, because by now, this has expanded well beyond football. We're talking public perception, institutional branding, NCAA influence, and millions in media licensing revenue. And to make things even more complex, Deion still commands massive cultural power, especially with Gen Z athletes and digital audiences. He's shifted the recruiting game. He's brought HBCUs, NEL deals, and athlete branding into the mainstream. But when the brand begins to overshadow the team, the balance gets harder to maintain. And again, there's the issue of Deion's health. What if doctors recommend a longer medical break or, in the worst case, advise him to step away for good? As of now, Colorado doesn't have a clear successor, no one with Deion's charisma, his media magnetism, or his unique connection with fans. That kind of leadership gap could be devastating. It could lead to more transfers, erode fan confidence, and potentially cost the university key sponsorships. In fact, one major sponsor is rumored to be reconsidering their deal if Deion is unable to make public appearances for their upcoming campaign. Another brand is reportedly pushing for new contract terms specifically to protect themselves in case the coaching situation takes a turn. The stakes right now are enormous. If Deion succeeds in 2025, he won't just reclaim his legacy, he'll redefine what leadership means in the era of modern college football. But if he falters or has to exit everything Colorado has built over the past 2 seasons could unravel fast. And the question hanging over all of it is this still Deion Sanders' mission, or has the moment outgrown what one man alone can carry?